Hey, it is me, Chris Jurgens, and so I'm back into my harmonic concepts book here. And remember, it's you can download it on Patreon if you want. It's going to be, I don't know, 200 somewhat pages, I guess, when it's done. And it is done. I'm just editing it. But if you're on the all access tier, you can just download that. All right. The first 100 and I forgot what it was, 140 pages are up right now. I'm still editing it, so there'll be new versions coming up. But the whole thing will be available pretty soon. But I'm allowing it to get downloaded in sections until it is done, okay? So today we're talking about chapter 13, which is about diminished chords. Diminished chords are crazy. You don't know where they're going. They're like little shape-shifting connector chords. And they confuse us a little bit, but they're really fun and useful. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the functions. And, you know, I'm not sure if I'm 100% correct, but this is what I think, okay? Anyway, so there's a few different types of chords. You know, first, they can function as secondary dominants. They can function as what we call a common tone diminished chord. But a lot of times it's just easy to say it's just a sort of passing diminished chord because they tend to connect other chords together, right? Now, the thing that you have to remember about them is that they're symmetrical chords. Every note is a minor third apart, which means any note can be a root. So when we play this chord, you know, we think about this as being the root, maybe. You could call it a B diminished, but it could also be an F diminished, an A flat diminished, or a D diminished, okay? And it means that they move up in minor thirds, and there's still any of those four chords. So this is possibly B. This is. They all could be B diminished 7, or they could be D diminished 7. So that's why sometimes they get a little bit confusing because they don't always get notated by the way they're functioning, right? So I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. But anyways, but because we can do that, see, and I'll talk about the first function here, secondary dominance. Generally, one of the notes in that diminished chord is going to move up a half step, okay? So in other words, B will like to go to C. Now, there's a good reason for that. It's because, see, if you play a G7 flat 9 chord, it looks exactly like, well, it is. It's a B diminished 7 chord on a G bass note, right? And that's why they function like secondary dominants, really. But that's why if you're playing, you know, a song like, I don't know. See, I played a F diminished chord, where you can see it as F, but it's really B over G. This chord, this diminished 7th chord that's on the top of the G note, can move up in minor thirds. So we do that a lot of times by going like this. That's why diminished chords are fun. They're tricky. You can move them around like that in minor thirds. So remember, if one of the notes is moving up a half step, it's functioning as a secondary dominant, okay? So in other words, in this example, this is exercise 3 in the book. So what happens here? D minor 7, D7, G sharp diminished. That G sharp wants to go to A, so that's what it does. So that would be notated as like the 7 diminished of the 6th chord, because that's the A minor is the 6th chord in this key, the key of C, right? The next one, it goes E minor. Same thing, that C sharp diminished chord wants to go up to D minor. And so they're functioning like secondary dominants, right? That C sharp diminished should be the 7 diminished of the 2 chord, right? So that's how that works. Okay, so let me go on to another one here. Next one is, let's skip around here. That was exercise 3. So next I'm going to talk a little bit about the common tone diminished 7th chords, which are really confusing. So, but we do that in the blues all the time anyway. So look, and when we go like this in the blues, so it's going from the E flat, E diminished, to the 1 chord. And that's because even though we tend to write this as an E diminished chord, it's got that B flat note in it, right? And that's the common tone. And the common tone is B flat with the 1 chord. So for some reason, common tone diminished chords like to resolve to their own root, the diatonic chord of their own root, right? So just to give you like a few examples here, look, E. This is more like an old school kind of rock kind of sound, right? Okay, so what's going on there? So after the E chord, so this is G sharp diminished, right? It wants to go to A. That's how we know it's a secondary dominant. Now, in this case, the root is on the top. This is an A sharp diminished. But really it isn't, because it's got an E note in it, right? And that E note will also go back to the common tone, which is the tonic chord, E. Okay, so that's another example of how these 7th chords show up. So I'll give you another example, and this one is really is even more confusing because, look, I'll just play it first, okay? It's pretty, right? So what's going on here? This is in the key of C, 3 chord, and then it goes down to E flat diminished. And it goes to D minor, so it's connecting E minor and D minor. And I don't really, we could either call it just a passing diminished chord, but in some ways it might have something to do with being a common tone diminished, because it's got a C in it, right? And that C note is the common tone to the tonic of the key, right? But it's also the 7th of D minor. So that might have something to do with why you see this a lot. And then I'm playing D diminished. So after D minor 7. And why does that work? Why does that D diminished want to go to C major 7? Well, because maybe it's not D diminished 7, maybe it's B diminished 7, which is the secondary dominant, right? So that's what I think is going on. I think this D diminished 7 is really B diminished 7, which is the secondary dominant, functioning as one anyways, right? Here we go. We could keep going. Okay, right? So that's That's a nice sound, right? These are beautiful. You see that like in How Insensitive, right? That's just one good example. But you see it all over the place. Okay, so we got that. So next, I do the same thing in like a blues. I sort of take some liberties turning the secondary dominants into the ones that function like the diminished chords that function like secondary dominants, and then I use the common tone diminished chord where you usually see it in bar number 6. Okay, so. All right, so that does it for diminished 7th chords. When you work on the exercises, whether it be in the book or you online here, make sure you look underneath and see the Roman numeral analysis, because that's going to tell you if they're functioning like common tone diminished chords or if they're functioning as like secondary dominants, okay? And so enjoy it. Remember, if you want the book, go get it on Patreon, and it's getting edited and the whole thing will be available in its entirety very soon. All right, so have a nice day. I'll see you next time.